Here. Nice to see you. I'm good. Welcome, everybody. I think it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Before I share today's exciting news, I want to thank the city leaders who are standing with us, socially distanced, in the room. I'm going to start from my far right, which is Alderman George Cardenas and Alderman Derek Curtis, as well as our Public Health Commissioner, Dr. Allison Arwady, our Water Commissioner, Randy Conner, and to my left here, we have Deputy Water Commissioner Andrea Chang, and we have our Chief Financial Officer, Jenny Bennett, who has been intimately involved in this work. I also want to acknowledge and thank the hard work of Deputy Chief of Staff Ann Sheehan, who has been quarterbacking this project on behalf of the Mayor's office, as well as the entire team at the Water Department. The Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner are here, but obviously this is a massive team effort. We are here to announce the important action we are taking on Chicago's lead service line. This is an important first step in a long overdue process. Today, our city's legacy lead service lines affect nearly 400,000, primarily single-family and two-flat homes. Now, before I go any further, I want to make sure that one thing is clear. The water in Chicago is safe and is in full compliance with all federal, state, and industry standards. What we are talking about today, however, is making sure that we go even further to ensure the safety and health of our residents in the future. Lead service lines are a legacy issue that we need to start chipping away at now. And that happens by moving in the right direction in a responsible way. And I want to be clear that undoing the extensive network of legacy lead service lines is a steep and costly mountain that we will need to climb. And we will not erase this legacy overnight. But it's way past time for us as a city to address this issue, which is why we are taking these necessary first steps today. It's for that reason that we are establishing a lead service line replacement program. This initiative will provide a variety of resources to residents who wish to replace their lead service lines, all while continuously building on our commitment to addressing this issue now and in the future. Our first program under this initiative is what we're calling the Equity Lead Service Line Replacement Program. That's the Equity Lead Service Line Replacement Program. This is a voluntary program, and as the name suggests, it is designed for low-income residents who want to replace their lead service lines now. These include residents who own or reside in their own homes, have a household income that is 80% of the median income, and have consistent lead concentrations of 15 parts per billion in their water. For residents that meet this criteria, the city will fully cover the cost of their service line replacement, all the way from the water main into their home. We pay for it with funding for this program through the Community Development Block Grants, or CDBG, and applications will be available later this year. Our second initiative is a homeowner-initiated lead service line replacement program. This is for homeowners who want to act now and hire a contractor to remove the existing lead service line on their property. Under this program, the city will waive standard permit fees for the project beginning in 2021, which can amount to a savings of approximately $3,000. The city will connect the new service line to the water main and install a free water meter when the replacement's completed. But this is just a start, and there are two other things that we are announcing today. In addition to these two initiatives, in the coming year, we will be piloting a project, a black level service line replacement project alongside a water main project in order to inform cost estimates and construction details for a broader lead service line program. Our goal with this pilot is to get better information about the actual costs associated with replacement so that we will make it as economically feasible as possible going forward. We're also creating a working group made up of stakeholder groups, regulators, and aldermen to provide input and recommendations for a broader lead service line replacement plan. As with all things, our goal at the end of the day is to help residents do what they can for their health and the health of those they care about. Doing so, of course, will take time, and it will take additional resources, and we'll certainly be looking to the state where there's been active consideration of lead service line replacement, as well as funding from the federal government. But we need to start, and that is exactly what we are doing now. If you want more information about these Phase 1 initiatives, or things that you can do now as a homeowner, go to the new website that's been set up by the Water Department, Lead Safe Chicago. That's leadsafe, all one word, .org. Our goal is not only making Chicago stronger, but supporting our place as the best big city in America to call home. And now I welcome to the podium Deputy Commissioner Andrea Chang, who will provide more specifics about the program. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Dr. Andrea Chang, Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Water Management. As you can imagine, replacing anything owned by both the public and a homeowner, such as a lead service line, is challenging. Lead is a complex topic, both from a technical perspective and a policy perspective, with a complex regulatory framework. It's imperative that Chicago's plan be flexible enough to deal with our dense urban infrastructure and forward-thinking enough to be sustainable. It is also critical that our plan reduce the financial burden on Chicago citizens by taking advantage of every state and federal funding opportunity possible. To be clear, participation in these lead service line replacement programs is voluntary. To that end, we have divided our lead service line replacement program into two phases. As the Mayor described, Phase 1 consists of the Equity Lead Service Line Replacement Program, the Homeowner-Initiated Lead Service Line Replacement Program, and the Water Main Project Lead Service Line Replacement Program. The goal of Phase 1 is to provide lower cost, higher impact projects that we could get started on as soon as possible. The Equity Lead Service Line Replacement Program is unique to Chicago, as most other cities do not prioritize replacements based on equity. Pending passage of an ordinance in City Council, the program will offer replacement of both the private and the public side of the service line for eligible low-income homeowners in low-income neighborhoods that have persistent levels of lead above 15 parts per billion, the EPA's lead action level for drinking water. Up to $15 million in community development block grants will be available in 2021 for this program, with plans to continue the program annually. Prioritization of these dollars is important, so that homeowners are potentially impacted the most by their lead service lines are the first to get replaced. This funding is expected to allow for full replacement of the lead service line, 600 lead service lines annually. Pending passage, the program will begin accepting applications this fall, but residents can get the process started now by requesting a free lead testing kit today. We will be developing a community outreach plan to raise awareness about the Equity Lead Service Line Replacement Program among potentially eligible homeowners. Further, the city will be offering assistance to homeowners with the application process. This is an opportunity for the stakeholder working group to provide local expertise. With our new homeowner-initiated lead service line replacement program, as the Mayor mentioned, we will be waiving permits of up to $3,100 for homeowners who would like to replace their lead service lines. We will also be making the lead service line replacement process for permitting more transparent for homeowners, so they know what to expect. On our website, we will be providing suggested questions customers should ask potential plumbing contractors to ensure a positive experience. Pending passage, the program will be effective January 2021. For both of these programs, single-family and two-flats will also receive a free water meter if there was not one already installed. to help residents save money on their water bills. To get more information on the programs, request a free water lead testing kit and learn how you can tell if your service line is made of lead. Visit our new website, www.leadsafechicago.org. Next up is Commissioner Randy Conner to provide more details on the future of Chicago's lead service line replacement program.
Thank you, Dr. Chang. So good morning. I'm Randy Conner, and I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Water Management. In addition to the two programs we've just announced, we will continue to develop more options for residents who would like to replace their lead service lines, especially in areas where the city will be performing infrastructure upgrades, such as water or sewer main replacements. We have been doing our research across the country regarding some of the techniques used to replace lead service lines during water main and sewer main construction. And next year, we will launch variations of these programs to get a better understanding of not only what these programs will look like, but also how they would work here in the city of Chicago. Our city is a very dense urban environment, and the programs and options we will put together will encompass as many scenarios as possible so that the work that will be done will be successful and sustainable here in Chicago in many years to come. One of the programs that we will be exploring would include replacing the water main and associated lead service lines for approximately 50 homes. This approach will afford us several opportunities. We will be able to evaluate several construction techniques, tighten coordination with other utilities as well as our other sister departments, also identify efficiencies we can use going forward, which will enable us to get a strong handle on cost and, of course, engage public participation. To fund this, we have applied for a state revolving funds loan with up to $4 million in principal forgiveness through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. We expect this to be completed in 2021, and we will take whatever we learn to inform the Phase 2 programs. Now I would like to present Dr. Arwady from the Department of Public Health, who will talk about the health implications of lead.
Good morning, and thank you, Commissioner Conner. I'm Dr. Allison Arwady, Commissioner at the Chicago Department of Public Health. And on behalf of the Lead Poisoning Prevention and Healthy Homes program at CDPH, we are so pleased to be working alongside the Department of Water Management in taking these concrete steps to address the legacy issue here in Chicago. I want to just briefly put into some context the work that the Health Department does around lead poisoning prevention and remind you that the overwhelming way that children are lead poisoned here in Chicago is from exposure to lead-based paint. Every time a child is tested for lead, the Chicago Department of Public Health receives those blood level results. And it's very important that every child living in Chicago at age 1, at age 2, and at age 3 in their regular well-child pediatric visit gets that finger prick check for lead. Every time a child is found to have an elevated blood lead level, nurses and home inspectors from the Chicago Department of Public Health reach out, work with the family, make sure that they're connected to appropriate care, and the inspectors actually work with the family, go into the home and the other places where the child is to figure out how that child has been exposed to lead. The great majority of the time, we identify that exposure in lead-based paint. And the priority at the health department and our programs for decades has been abating and getting rid of that source of lead exposure for children. That work continues, and I want to be clear that Chicago has made dramatic progress. If you look back as recently as the 1990s, 25%, 1 in 4 Chicago children had had an elevated blood lead level of at least 10 micrograms per deciliter. Today, that number is between 1 and 2 per 100 children, just 1 to 2%, even as the levels of what we've considered the action level for lead have dropped. That progress has been made because of a laser focus on lead paint. We are so excited to now be starting to address the potential for lead exposure from water. Every time a child has an elevated blood lead level, the CDPH inspectors work with the Department of Water Management. We also check to see, does that home have an elevated water level? And certainly, in the rare cases, if the water level is found to be high, this gives us another opportunity to address that issue right alongside the lead paint issue. The Chicago Department of Public Health has worked closely with the Department of Water Management to make sure that the website, Lead Safe Chicago, has all the information you need about reducing the risk of exposure to lead in water and in paint. So I encourage you to go there if you want to learn more about the ways that you can help protect particularly young children who are at the highest risk of concern for exposure to lead because of the risk of impacts on growth and development and learning. We've made good progress so far against lead poisoning here in Chicago, and the work today is such an important step as we continue to move forward as a city. And with that, I'd like to invite Alderman Derek Curtis up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Arwady. Good morning. I would like to thank the mayor for revisiting this detrimental lead water issue, especially at a time when we're dealing with this current pandemic. I am very grateful because I'm a person to love to drink big gulps of cups of water straight from the tap. The city of Chicago has the most lead service lines in the U.S. because that's what the city plumbing code required, connections from the single-family homes and 2 flats to the street water mains until 1986. I am excited to be chosen to work with stakeholders, community-based organizations, and community leaders across the city to help spread awareness and work on solutions on this pilot lead service line replacement program. It will be accessible and inclusive to all the residents of the city of Chicago. And now I would like to bring up my colleague, Alderman Cardenas.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank the mayor for her leadership. My name is George Cardenas, the 12th Ward, and I happen to be the committee chairman of Environmental Protection and Energy. Now, I've been here a minute as alderman and now chairman for a few years, and this issue is not new, but I'm glad the mayor is taking this head on. Many mayors have passed through leadership, and no one's addressed this issue like Mayor Lori Lightfoot is doing today. So kudos to her for taking this on, and I know it happens to be controversial. Let me just say something about Chicago's water. Our filtration plant is one of the best in the world, best resource in the nation. In fact, if you go through social media, and I've seen this, I'm not sure if you've seen it, one of many developments in the suburbs will tout the fact that they have Chicago water. Recognizing that we have really a great asset just here, not far away in Lake Michigan, that provides us with fresh water for millions of people. But nevertheless, obviously, we are replacing and modernizing Chicago. Lead pipes happens to be one of them. We're modernizing also our gas main lines as well. People's Gas is doing that as well throughout the city. And this is something that should be done. Lead is a serious problem. not to be taken lightly, and I'm glad that Commissioner Arwady mentioned that, and the fact that from a health standpoint we take this very seriously, and this administration is doing that today. The pilot program is very important because you need to understand the cost structure. You need to understand the pitfalls of what you're getting into instead of just launching a program all out and then finding out you got variances across the city because of regions, because how it was done, how it was installed, who did the plumbing, and so on and so on. I'm glad that we're taking that on first and understanding what we are getting ourselves into. Accessible quality water is a must, a basic human right, and as Dr. Arwady said, lead is something that our kids should not be exposed to whatsoever. This is a voluntary, equitable solution for many of our residents. The two parts of it that was mentioned by Commissioner Randy Conner talks about the fact that we do have to find a middle ground in getting this thing done and cost it out so that our residents understand that they're not going to bear the full brunt of this. But in reality, it's going to take the homeowner and ourselves in the city to be able to make sure that it gets replaced equitably and rightly so at a cost-effective manner. I urge residents, if you tested your water and you think you have concerns, please call 311, call your alderman locally, and someone can address your issue right away. You can also, as the Mayor alluded to, visit the website, Let Safe Chicago, letsafechicago.org for many of the questions that you may have. I'm glad to be here. The fact that we finally, after many, many years of advocating for this issue to be addressed, and for the administration, or former administration, to address it, I'm glad to be standing here and applauding Mayor Lightfoot for doing so. And in that, I wanted to invite her to the podium to take any questions from you all. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. This is, I think, an exciting opportunity for us to address a longstanding legacy issue. And as Alderman Cardenas said so well, water is such a basic, fundamental, essential necessity. We've got to do this and take these initial steps. Happy to take your questions.
Hi, Jason Knowles from the ABC7I team. My first question is from me. So in previous reports, we did find that there was lead water in water fountains in the parks. Some of those fountains were shut down. And then even here, you did say that there are going to be some people who do qualify for assistance who are maybe more at risk, maybe hitting that 15 parts per billion, the lead action level. So with those two things in mind, how do we really know that the water's safe?
Because we test the water all the time. That is the primary way. Obviously, we have this incredible resource from Lake Michigan, but the water levels are tested for a variety of elements, lead being one of them. We test the water with great frequency, and we encourage anybody who is concerned. There's lead water, there's lead kits that they can get. We can provide them with filters. There's lots of different things we can do, but fundamentally, we make sure that the water is safe because we test it.
So the people that qualify for the first program, their water is safe?
We believe so. I'm going to ask the Deputy Commissioner to go into specifics about what the criteria is.
Okay.
Deputy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the people that qualify for the equity program, you're saying, the action level for EPA at 15 parts per billion is actually at the 90th percentile. So we do a lot of compliance testing, as it's called. The EPA has a certain set of requirements of testing that we do. But in addition, we open up this free water testing program to everyone with our lead test kits that we've mailed out. That's separate from compliance, and really it's just meant to give everyone the peace of mind of being able to check their own water at their own house. But we do to the mayor's point, we do a ton of testing as per requirements, and a lot of it voluntary, going above and beyond. We do over 600,000 tests per month. It's a tremendous amount of effort on our staff's part, but we do have state-approved chemistry and microbiology laboratory on site.
Okay. The next question is from Heather Chironi, WTTW. Alderman Gilbert Villegas, your floor leader, said this morning on Twitter that the timeline you've laid out means the last lead service line would not be removed until 2533. Is that an acceptable timeline for you? And is there a timeline for the meter installation program to be restarted?
I'm not sure where Alderman Villegas got that timeline, because that's not the timeline that we've laid out. Obviously, as we said, this is going to be a multi-year process. We're starting with phase one. We're going to do the pilot program to assess what the cost will be. But look, the reality is our estimates are this is an $8.5 billion program. $8.5 billion program. And that money doesn't exist right now, but we are aggressively investigating further assistance that we can get from the state and from the federal government. And as we get those resources in, we're going to accelerate and expand this phase two of the program to get it done as quickly as possible. There are always going to be critics. There are always going to be people who think that they know more than everyone else. But the reality is this is a legacy issue that has not been previously addressed, and we are taking the first steps. We could do what a lot of other past administrations have done, which is not touch this issue. That's not the right thing to do. We're taking the steps that are necessary to start the process and engagement. Our system here in Chicago is complicated. Our underground infrastructure is complicated, so it's not an easy fix. It's not something that even if we had all the resources, you can flick a light switch and get done. And I would hope that people would be understanding of that and really educate themselves, particularly before they take to medium like Twitter. Pardon me?
You got to know your cost, Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's be a little smarter about what we comment on and get the information first.
Okay, the next question comes from Yvette Shields, the Midwest Regional Editor at the Bond Buyer newspaper. If the city doesn't provide specific details, she had asked me on the numbers. You did provide some details on the numbers, of course, on the finance plan. Her question is, how much more borrowing will happen, and over what time period will that borrowing happen?
Yeah,
will it be under the city's water revenue bond program?
We're way away from being able to answer those questions. As I said, we have this first phase. We have funding to provide for low-income homeowners who want to voluntarily participate in this program. We are going to be taking steps next year, as Commissioner Conner indicated, to understand what the real costs are, given the realities of what our infrastructure is in Chicago. That'll give us a better sense of what the kind of per replacement cost is going to look like, and then we'll be able to project out from there on a larger scale. But it's way too early to be talking about issuing bonds or do anything of that sort.
The next series of questions from Jeremy Ross, CBS 2. I believe the answer to this was yes, but I'll ask it again. Will the city install meters on replacement connections for old homes which are unmetered?
Yes, we did that.
And will there be credits and refunds issued to homeowners who were greatly overcharged for past non-metering overcharges?
I'm not familiar with any overcharges. Obviously, if there's an issue, the water department has plenty of resources to address those issues with individual homeowners.
Okay, the next question from Fran Spielman, the Sun-Times.
Tell Fran she already wrote her article. Why does she have any more questions?
Follow-up question, I guess.
Yeah. I thought she already knew everything.
She says, well, she does know quite a bit here. She's saying Chief Financial Officer Jeannie Hung Bennett said that Chicago homeowners will ultimately be required to share this cost. So how much will it cost homeowners?
Well, again, we're way ahead of this. Obviously, the cost, we're going to have to understand exactly what those costs are. We're going to try to make this as efficient as possible, but we have not come up with a specific proposal for phase two and beyond that. So it's early days. We're learning a lot as we go. We're looking forward to the work of the working group, to work with a range of different stakeholders to figure out the best solutions for Chicago. And when we know that, we'll do what we always do, which is to be transparent about it.
And just paraphrasing the second part of her question, she's saying critics say this could be a small plan that could take 500 years, and it's starting too small. I think you would address.
There's always critics. And as I like to say, it's not the critics who count. Paraphrasing Teddy Roosevelt. This has been a problem for a long time that has never been addressed. Since 1986, when we stopped forcing homeowners to install lead service lines. It's way past time for us to do something about it. We invite anybody who thinks that they've got the greatest and the best idea to share that with the working group members, but we have to start climbing this hill, and we're doing that today.
Next question from Craig Delamore, WBBM News Radio. With the city facing the $2 billion in shortfalls, how will that delay or slow down all of this work?
It's not going to delay or slow it down. Obviously, we're rolling out this phase one series of initiatives, mindful of the fact that we have the budget deficits and the budget shortfalls that we have. The first phase of this is there's money available to pay for it, and then we will continue to work with our partners at the state level and the federal level to find additional funding so we can scale this up in the out years.
An off-topic question from Amy Jacobson from WIND Radio. Before e-learning began, 355,000 CPS students were going. How many showed up Tuesday for e-learning?
We're still working on those numbers, and as soon as we know, the CPS, I think, is going to be revealing that either tomorrow or early next week.
And how is e-learning going for your 7th grade daughter?
So far, so good. She's actually in school today. So we dropped her off this morning, and she ran from us, as most preteens don't want to be associated with their parents in front of their peers. But, I think the school has a very good program. They were very aggressive in converting to e-learning last spring, so far, so good. The thing that cures all ills is buying new clothes and buying new school supplies, which we did in advance of the start of school this year. So she's in good shape.
Good to hear. Two more? Okay. This comes from Kelly Bauer.
Block Club.
Block Club, yep. Reiterating a bit more details on the timeline. How many years do you expect it to take to replace the 400,000 lead lines in Chicago?
A lot of it is going to depend on what the funding sources are and how quickly we can get those in. As I said, this is phase one. We have a plan and a timeline for that, and we're going to continue to work on other funding sources so we can start to scale this up.
And last question from Carla Leal, off topic from Telemundo. What accomplishments were made after the safety drill a few weeks ago in the downtown commercial corridor, and what can neighborhood businesses expect if there is a safety drill today or in the future? How will this help safety?
Well, there are 2 safety drills going to be taking place this afternoon in neighborhoods. So obviously, there are a number of things that you learn from doing an actual live drill. One is the people that are responsible for responding, they get the experience of responding under real life circumstances. You learn a tremendous amount about that, from response times, the resources that you need, what the level of coordination is among the various city departments. So I think there was a lot of learning from the drill that took place in the downtown area about 2 weeks ago. We expect to learn a lot from the drills that are taking place in 2 different neighborhoods, one on the south side and one on the northwest side later today. Doing these drills is all about educating yourself and keeping yourself fresh and making sure that you're nimble when you need to respond when there's a real emergency. So I commend the superintendent, OEMC, and our infrastructure departments in really digging down, coming together, coordinating even more than they normally do to make sure that we are ready in the event of an emergency.
Thank you.
Thank you.